So red flag number 10, this is a tough one, man, because now like half the women, maybe more out there, are heavily tattooed and pierced up. I was at a restaurant with my family the other day, and all the waitresses, I mean, they were all at least 40 pounds overweight, but beyond that, had tattoos over all their arms. There was one girl, the girl that served us, that had zero tattoos, and you could tell her character, beyond just the image of being pure without tattoos, was totally different than the others. I think it says a lot about who someone is on the inside. But speak to us about, tattoos and piercings as a red flag.
Well, I think tattoos, they've been around for a long time too, right? A lot of men have tattoos. You've got tats. I think it's more of a masculine sort of endeavor. Mm-hmm. For a lot of men, it could be a rite of passage. It could be a tribal thing for them. Mm-hmm. It's never, as far as I've seen in the history that I've studied, been a traditional behavior of women. It seems to be a masculine pursuit. So we see a general trend of the masculinization of females and the feminization of males today, especially over the last several decades. And a woman covered in tattoos, I mean, look, if it's something sweet, if it's because she's committed to you and she tattoos your name around her ring finger or somewhere on her body because she's that serious about you, okay, fine. In my view, that would be acceptable. But if you meet a gal and she's got tattoos all over her body in random places, like a sticker book, my advice would be just, look, stay away from her. I mean, date her if you want, but don't invite her into your life on a long-term basis. The other thing, too, is tattoos, they don't look that great as they age as well, too. They sort of spread out and bleed. And, the girl with that cute butterfly tattoo on her shoulder blade, that you meet when she's 21, that's going to look like a pile, like a bird crapped on her shoulder by the time she's 45.
Yeah. It's interesting because, this is sort of a new thing. As you said, like women never had tattoos, and even the amount of tattoos that men have now. I grew up in the 80s, and my dad was from Belize, kind of like he was like a gangster. And he was the only dad with tattoos. My dad was known as the guy with the tattoos. They thought my dad was, a drug lord or something like that. And so my dad was known as the guy with the tattoos. Now, not only does everybody have tattoos, but everybody and their mama has tattoos. And I like how you point out that it's like the heavily tattooed, like neck and arms throughout the whole.
It does get trashy, and I go to some formal events where you have to dress well, and if it's in the summertime, it's hot, so there's more skin exposed, especially with women with their evening gowns. And everybody gives side eye to girls, to women with tattoos, exposed tattoos, and a nice evening gown. They just do. You look at it and you think to yourself, I do anyway. That's like putting bumper stickers all over a Lamborghini. A woman is a thing of beauty. Why would you go and put bumper stickers all over a thing like a Lamborghini? It's just not tasteful.
This is kind of just my weird thinking on it too, but she had to lay down and be penetrated by a man for several hours in order to receive that marking on her body. Like that guy, basically, he tattooed you by penetrating you several times over hours.
There's something else I should add, which I didn't include in the chapter, which I came to realize after the fact, because I had a guy contact me, and he was a tattoo artist, and I had several tattoo artists contact me after that, in fact, and we all had very similar conversations, and I did some podcasts with them. A lot of these tattoo artists that tattoo women, they do become intimate with them. So when you see a woman covered with tattoos, chances are pretty high that she laid with him.
Right. There's something very intimate about laying there, allowing somebody to penetrate you and leave their mark. Big one. Okay. So in complete contrast, in a way, right? Tattoos are very obvious. Red flag number 11. Maybe there are some signs, or maybe there are some things we can look for to distinguish a woman with a high notch count, meaning have had lots of sexual partners, correct?
Yeah, so this one is one that really upsets women because they can't turn back the clock on this. Once it's done, it's done. They can try to dismiss it. Well, why can men do it, but women can't do it? Well, again, men and women are different, and promiscuity in women affects them to a far greater degree than it does men. They've done studies on this. There's a very popular study called the Teachman study. And I think they stopped collecting the data after about 21 partners. And I think 21 partners in today's world is actually pretty conservative. If you're talking to a woman or dealing with a woman over 25 or 30, she's probably laid with more than 21 men. But anyway, they stopped collecting the data at 21. And what they found was a woman that's a virgin bride has about an 82% chance of being happy in a marriage with a man. I think it's about 7 or 8 years down the road, reported anyway. And the more partners that she's been with, and it's a bouncing bar graph, it kind of goes down like this, but the trend is down. Basically, the more guys that she's been with, the higher probability is that she's going to be unhappy. And there's other issues that come with that. I mean, if she's been with more guys, the higher probability that she's had abortions, the higher probability she's got an STD, the higher probability she has a mental disorder, or she's on some kind of meds to sort of medicate it or placate it. The biggest risk that exists beyond all of that, and the absolute disgust that most men tend to realize exists when they picture a woman laying with 50 or 100 other guys prior to them, is that if you're going to raise a family and have kids, or even if you're going to be in a long-term relationship, if a woman's been through a lot of guys, a lot of relationships, it's very easy for her to leave and exit. So she's not very sticky to you. You know, a woman that has conflict in a relationship that's been with a lot of guys will just say, I'm out because I can just find somebody else. I had this conversation the other day with a close friend, and he's read my book. He's known about me for a long time because we're friends. And he overlooked the notch count thing. He actually came to me and he said, hey, look, Rich, I think you need to add runners to your list. And I said, what do you mean by runners? He goes, women that run at the first sign of conflict or problems. So I kind of rewound. I said, well, explain to me what she's about, and let's go through the red flags with you. And he's like, right. Okay, well, there's the notch count thing. I'm like, okay, well, what do you think the notch count is? He says, well, she couldn't identify it. We had the conversation. It was too many to name. So I'm like, what do you think that means? 20, 50? He goes, well, the last time we broke up, she basically contacted every guy that she's ever been with to try to line them up to placate herself to get the attention that she needed. So he said, runners are a potential red flag. But I said, look, the reason why she's a runner is because she's promiscuous, and it's easy for her to leave if there's conflict in the relationship. Because if it's been 21 guys and you're number 22, she doesn't care.